Hello and welcome to Tales of Japan. Today's tale is nonfiction, which means it's all facts. It's called Welcome to Japan. If you could look down on Earth from high above, you would see large land areas surrounded by water. These land areas are called continents. Some continents are made up of several different countries. Japan is an island country off the continent of Asia. Japan is a beautiful country that's full of interesting people and places. Most countries are made up of one piece of land, but not Japan. Japan is made up of thousands of islands. The islands were formed long ago when huge volcanoes erupted under the ocean. Hot melted rock, called lava, spilled out underwater. When the lava cooled, it hardened to form the islands. Most of Japan's islands are very small. Only 4 of the islands are big enough for people to build cities on. Hokkaido is a big island in the northern part of Japan. It is covered with mountains and forests. The island of Honshu has Japan's highest mountain. It is called Mount Fuji. The island of Shikoku gets lots of rain. Kyushu has the warmest weather of all Japan's islands. Did you know Japan is a country that has a lot of earthquakes? Every year there are about 1,500 small earthquakes or tremors all over the country. Each area of Japan has different plants and animals. Bears and deer live in the forests of Hokkaido. On the island of Honshu, people who go hiking sometimes see eagles. Some areas of Japan have beautiful cherry trees for people to enjoy. In the mountains, people can see red-faced Japanese monkeys. These monkeys are known as macaques. Macaques are also called snow monkeys because they live in colder areas. Did you know many Japanese people raise bonsai trees? The trees are very small and are grown in pots. Many people like to trim and shape their bonsai trees so they look different from everyone else's. The first people came to Japan about 18,000 years ago. But how did they get there? Long ago, the oceans weren't as deep as they are now. Much of the world's water was frozen into ice. In some places, pieces of land connected the continents together. These pieces of land are called land bridges. People could walk from one continent to another without having to cross the ocean. They just walked across the ice. Over time, the ground slowly warmed up. The ice melted and water covered up the bridges. The people who had walked to Japan had to stay. That is how people came to Japan's islands. For For a long time, Japan has been ruled by emperors. An emperor has a lot of power over the people. Today's Jap- Today, Japan's emperor is not very powerful. He does not make rules for the country anymore. Instead, Japan's laws are made by its parliament. The people in Japan's parliament talk about how their country is doing. They make laws to keep the Japanese people safe. They also think of ways to make Japan a better place to live. And this is a picture of Kumamoto Castle, where the emperors used to live. And this is the Japanese Parliament building in Tokyo. And Tokyo, as you may remember, is the capital of Japan. About 127 million people live in Japan. Most of them live near the coasts of the big islands. If you visited Japan, you would see mostly Japanese faces around you. That's because in Japan, almost everyone is Japanese. Manners are very important in Japan. Japanese people believe in being polite and treating each other with respect. They try to help each other and be good neighbors. Being kind to other people is a very old and important part of Japanese life. And here are two pictures of life in Japan. You can see that most people are Japanese. It's a big market. In Japan, almost everyone lives in cities. The biggest city is Tokyo, on the island of Honshu. Most city families live in apartments. These apartments are very small. That's because Japan's cities are very crowded. In Japan's cities, families must learn ways to save space. Out in the country, there aren't as many people. Many Japanese country dwellers live in wooden houses. Usually, these houses are in towns. Some families live on farms. Country people try to help their neighbors and be good friends. So this is a picture of a big city, and in the little picture in the corner is a family's small apartment, and you can see that there's just not a lot of space. And here is a farming family. Did you know the Shinkansen, or bullet train, is a special train in Japan? It is one of the fastest trains in the world. It can go up to 160 miles an hour. Japanese children start school when they are 6 years old. They learn math and social studies just as you do. Japanese students also study art, music, and computers. In the upper grades, Japanese children learn how to speak another language, English. Japanese children work very hard. They even go to school on Saturday mornings. Japanese children learn 2 alphabets, and they need to learn about 2,000 characters. These characters are symbols that stand for sounds or words. It takes that many characters to write in Japanese. Japanese is not an easy language, but it is very interesting. Writing some Japanese words is like drawing pictures. And when you speak some Japanese words, they sound just like what they mean. For example, kiki means squeaky, and goru goru means rumbling. In the cities, people work at all kinds of jobs. Some people work in stores or banks. Others work in offices, hotels, and hospitals. Many others work inside huge factories. They make things such as cameras, computers, and cars. In the country, Japanese people have other jobs to do. Many people catch fish. Others make boards and paper from trees. Many other people grow crops, such as soybeans, rice, tangerines, and apples. There are also people who work at small shops and restaurants. Japanese people like to eat different kinds of food. They eat lots of rice and vegetables. They also like to eat spinach, mushrooms, and a kind of radish called a daikon. Sushi is a very popular dish. It is made of fish and rice. People in Japan eat and cook with special sticks called chopsticks. They hold two chopsticks in one hand and use them to pick up food. Japanese people like to drink tea. It is served everywhere, in restaurants, in offices, and in homes. Japanese tea is pale green or brown. It is served plain, without sugar or milk or lemon. Judo, karate, and video games were all invented in Japan. People in Japan also play baseball, volleyball, tennis, and golf. Another popular Japanese sport is sumo wrestling. The art of paper folding, called origami, is a popular hobby. Many Japanese children enjoy watching television and playing computer games, just like you. They also read books, magazines, and comic books called manga. Some restaurants have stacks of manga for grown-ups to read while they wait for their meals. So, there's two boys reading manga. And here is a baseball team. Take a close look at those jerseys and see if you can tell what they say. Japan has many different holidays. November 15th is the 753 festival. On that day, Japanese children who are 7, 5, or 3 get to put on special robes called kimonos. Kimonos are worn only on special days. The Cherry Blossom Festival comes when the cherry trees bloom. Families picnic under the cherry trees and look at the beautiful blossoms. The people of Japan mix the old ways with the new. In Japan, you will see a hamburger restaurant next to a Japanese tea room. Children wear blue jeans every day, but for holidays, they wear their special kimonos. Japan is a wonderful place to learn about mixing old and new ways together. So, That is a picture of the Cherry Blossom Festival. And this one was a picture taken during the 753 festival.